when I get out there and start doing stuff, I still think I'm in my 20s and maybe early 30s, but I'm not. In this video, I'm going to show you step by step how to make my honey whole wheat blended bread that I share with my guests right here at River City's retreat in Central Florida. Now, during the rise time, we're going to wrangle some teenagers into doing some yard work. Let's see how that goes. But don't forget to download the full recipe in the description below. Enjoy! I'm Holly Giles, and I am the founder of the Giles Frontier. I'm going to make a honey whole wheat blend bread today. We're going to make 2 loaves. The recipe makes 2 loaves, and we're going to get that started. It's going to need a proofing time we're going to do. So the first thing is we're going to put in 1/3 cup of oil. I had some coconut oil, so I put that in there. We're also going to put in 1/3 cup of honey, and then I'm going to add a cup of whole wheat flour. I love using whole wheat flour, but I tend to use it a lot in a blended fashion by mixing it with the white flour. So we're going to mix all these ingredients, plus we're going to add in 2.5 cups of warm water. Oh, I see Grant left me a surprise. Fishing worms. That boy is fishing crazy right now, and I find these bits and pieces of worms all over the kitchen. Sometimes he even makes his own lures. That's even more fascinating. 1.5 tablespoons of yeast. So I'm going to do a tablespoon, and I'm going to sprinkle it over the top, and then another half. This is called proofing, where we're going to stir this and we're going to let it sit for about 15 minutes, and we are going to let this yeast wake up. We're going to wake it up, bring it to life, and let it know we are ready for it to work and make us some yummy bread for lunch. Our mixture has risen up and it's nice and bubbly, and I'll show you right over here. Nice and bubbly. We are going to add in more of our flour now and salt. Now this is a blend, so we're going to add 4 to 6 more cups of flour to this recipe. So I'm going to mix it up. We're going to start with 1 cup of our all-purpose flour. And then we'll add a cup of our wheat flour. I'm going to do the 2 cups at a time and stir it. Because again, we don't want to put too much flour and make our dough dry. Because where you live can have a big effect on how your food turns out. Even quick breads and things like that, especially here in Florida. And then if you add in elevation or very dry locations. And I forgot salt. I need to add a teaspoon and a half of salt. Very important. Okay, our dough is looking very nice. What we're looking for is for it pulling away from the sides. It's doing that. We want to incorporate the flour that we have. You know, I think I'm going to add just a little bit more. Here we go again. Yeah, this is good. Okay, so it's pulled away from the sides. It's pulled away from the sides. When I touch it, it's not sticky. I can get my hands on here and it doesn't stick to my hands. So now we are going to put it out on a floured surface. Just a little bit, because we don't want to add too much more in there. And we're going to knead it for 8 to 10 minutes or until I feel like it's good. We can do all of this with a mixer, and I use my stand mixer a lot of times for making bread. But today I wanted to show you a really nice recipe doing kneading even though I'm exhausted. But there's something about kneading bread that just is calming and relaxing. And right now everyone's out of my house. And so I'm just gonna take a few minutes and relax. So I'm gonna fold and then push with my hand. Turn, fold, push. You can do a little bit of a turn. So now I see it's getting a little sticky. So I'm going to add in some more flour on top. Okay? So I'm going to turn and fold. Turn, fold, push. Okay, so you don't want to watch me do this for 10 minutes. Today is a work day on our southern homestead here. We always have work to be done. We're going to do some pressure washing, leaf raking, general cleanup at the lake before the boys run off and do their own thing. So let's see how it goes.
I need to be working on trucks, what I need to be doing.
Here down in the side of our property, I have a lemon tree, which has been overtaken during the summertime with grapevine. So we're using, some tools out here, some electric tools, but we're gonna have to do this one by hand because when grapevine starts overtaking, it gets into the branches and woven around, and I already have baby lemons coming on and I don't wanna harm them. See, that's what happens right there. Okay. Canoe and tire. And then come up here to the little shed house, and then Grayson, you're done. You gotta come up here and we're gonna clean this out, and then you're done. And Grant's gonna supervise me pressure washing.
Yeah, I'm being serious about python hunting.
What do you mean python hunting?
Hey,
You don't even know how to get a python. They can kill you, Grayson.
all you gotta do is grab their tail, pull them out of the hole, and shoot them. You don't have to wrestle them like they do with that show.
You're just gonna go grab a python tail.
Mom,
I don't think that's how it works.
Seriously, get like $20 a foot.
You can also get strangled. Don't they strangle you?
Not if I strangle him first.
Why is somebody's shirt out here? Colby's shirt. Any critters?
No.
Any duck eggs? Any nests?
Except for ants.
We really should put a porch here. This is where we need a screen porch. Look at the lake. Okay, hey, can we get rid of the headless deer over here?
What am I supposed to do?
Well, can you put it somewhere?
No.
Grayson, it just doesn't look good. It's kind of scary.
That's what I shoot, Mom. Look at these trucks.
It's getting hot out here in Florida. We're still cleaning out and the boys are not happy, so I'm trying to get it all done so they can go do what they want to do. So I am done kneading, and it's it feels good. There's just something about bread. Even if you've never made bread before, you'll love it. If you have kids, you can break it up and let them do it. Make small little loaves, make little mini loaves. Kids love making bread because it's kind of like Play-Doh that you can eat. Now, this turned out really nice. And when you push it, you see it bounces back. And that's what we're looking for when it's ready to rise. Okay? I am going to cut this into two. You can break it apart with your hand if you want to. It's easy for me just to cut it, and I'm using a bread knife. You could use any knife. And now we're going to put it into loaf pans that I have greased with butter. A lot of my recipes, some, you roll it out and then roll it in. This one isn't. It just wants you to form it to the pan. So I'm just going to plop it in the pan. So that's one. And then this one, plop it in. Now we are going to set this aside. I'm going to go set it over on top of the stove. I'm going to cover it with a dish towel, and I'm going to let it rise at least an hour. It's been a little more than an hour, maybe about an hour and a half. And these did not really rise like I wanted them to. And I'm not quite sure why, but I'm gonna bake them anyway because I'm sure they're gonna bake up wonderful. Now, I always try to make more than 2 loaves at a time because we go through bread a lot in a week with a bunch of boys running around. So I've already got some in the back in process. So when I bake all of them, I'm gonna go ahead and stick these in the oven at 350 degrees for about 20 to 30 minutes and see what happens. They might rise up more in the oven and be perfect. We are back with the finished product of our honey whole wheat blend sandwich bread. Now, remember I told you that our first loaves were a little short and they didn't rise very well. And you can see that here. It's a little short compared to this loaf right here. There's a little bit of a difference. Our second loaves turned out beautiful, perfect, great sandwich size. Our first loaves are a little short and the texture is a little moist, as you can see. Now, there could be 2 reasons. I wanted to show you both examples because every time you make bread, it can be different, even when using the same recipe. Now, the first one that we did together, I did by hand. It's possible that I had too much liquid. It's possible that I didn't knead it enough, or I needed it too much. There's different factors. This one, after I was trying to feed the boys when they came home, obviously we didn't make it to show you the loaves where we cut them. I got the mixer out and I kneaded this one with the mixer. I did everything else by hand, then I threw it in the mixer to do the kneading for me because I was short on time. And this one turned out really nice. And obviously they've already eaten half the loaf today. So those are our 2 samples of bread from the same recipe and how you can make them every time and they turn out different. So don't be afraid of the recipe. Work with it and see how you can change it. Now, even though this one did not turn out, it makes good toast in the morning. It might make a real good grilled cheese. So it's definitely usable. Just because they don't rise as high doesn't mean we're not gonna use the bread. Hope you enjoy making your own honey wheat blend sandwich bread. Let's talk a little bit about texture in our breads. I have 3 samples here for you. I have a whole wheat blend. This is just a very simple whole wheat recipe. I have our honey whole wheat right here. And then this is a potato bread. This is store-bought bread right here, but we're just using that to show texture. So the first one, this is our simple, basic whole wheat recipe, very simple recipe. It has beautiful texture. You can see the beautiful texture here. However, when I push down, you might notice that it's just a little bit too wet. You see, it's just a little bit too wet. So next time I work with this recipe, I have to be careful of my wet ingredients that I add. So obviously I added a little bit too much. We've used this loaf for bread for sandwiches this week, and it's great flavor, great taste, but really it's just a little bit too moist for us. Now, again, where you live has to do with the moisture in your bread. So finding a recipe that you like and working with it until you get it the way you want it is better than flopping from recipe to recipe, because a lot of times it's just your climate. We live in Florida. We have a lot of humidity here. That has a great effect on my baking, just as it would if you lived in a very dry climate or high humidity. Now let's take a look at the honey whole wheat recipe that is on our website. And again, this has beautiful texture. You can see the beautiful texture here. It's a little bit drier, so when I push down, it bounces back up. If you can see that, it bounces back up. And this has been a great bread. This one is a little bit older than this one, so it's getting a little dry, but this one turned out well. Now it's a little short. It did not have it didn't rise as high as I wanted it to. And that can have many factors of why it did that. But the flavor was great. We used it for sandwiches this week. We're obviously on the heel here. And, I could have baked it, even a little bit longer. It's real light. And then now we're gonna look at the store-bought bread and its texture. Now I'm never gonna have store-bought bread texture. This is real light and fluffy. There's probably a lot of ingredients in here that I would not use in my home baking bread, but we're just using it as an example for texture purposes to see. Now for me, I think this one is great. Some people like a real tight texture. It just all depends on what you like. Now this particular one I'm gonna redo. You see my top caved in here a little bit. And what I have to do is put tinfoil over the top when I'm baking so it doesn't, I think that my oven is off on temperature and I don't want to burn the top. And what I did was I put the tinfoil on right away, and that caused some of that denting in the top. So next time I will wait a little while and let that rise up in the oven and bake before I put the tinfoil on. So these are a couple different textures that you're looking for when you're baking bread. You can test your bread. So when you make this recipe, if it didn't turn out the way that you liked, then just examine it. Examine the texture and think about, how long did I knead it? How long did I let it rise? Was the dough too sticky? Did it not bounce back, the dough, when I pushed my finger into it? And I made these on different days with 2 different recipes, and you can see the texture difference. And so those are some things to consider when you're baking your home bread, is experimenting with one recipe and really working the recipe and finding what works for you. We love mangrove honey. We're fortunate to live in Florida. We know a beekeeper that makes this mangrove honey. It is phenomenal. However, it has a higher liquid content than most honey does. It's a little bit on the watery side. So if I'm using this particular kind of honey, I'm going to have to be careful about the amount that I put in. So those are all little factors that can change the texture of your bread.